And welcome back to Who Would Win. Today's Who Would Win comes to us from, give me 1 second to see if I got the name right. Mansell Ali? I hope I got that name right. I might have butchered that. But this, the Who Would Win you asked for is who would win a fight? Freddy Krueger versus the Creeper from Jeepers Creepers. Now, backstory on both. Freddy Krueger was a child murderer and, by all accounts, a pedophile. It's more implied in, the reboot than it was in the original series. But yeah, it's still implied on some level that he was a pedophile. But he's a child murderer, killer, pedophile, all the above, who eventually the children of Elm Street got their revenge, burned him alive. But, at least in the original series, through convoluted means and deals with dream demons, he was able to come back as a demon of dreams. He's the Sandman, basically. And as an individual who is basically a god in the dream world, he can do whatever he wants. He can manipulate the dream world however he wants to manipulate it to. If he wants to turn himself into Godzilla with tentacles while you suddenly get tied down with your mom pooping on your face, that was an extreme example. I'm just saying he could do that without too much difficulty. Now, he can be pulled out of the dream world and killed in the real world. But he still retains a certain level of his powers, particularly reality warping in the dream world. It's not a lot, but he does hold on to a certain level of his power. It's not a huge amount, but it's something it's a noticeable amount. Freddy Ozzy wields his knife gloves. It can be used for killing, but it's definitely more of an intimidation tactic. Freddy also is weak to people basically standing up to him to a certain degree. Not being afraid of Freddy is a way to weaken Freddy. It's not a way to permanently kill him or even defeat him, but it is a way to weaken him. Because his power comes from your fear of him. And as we find in later movies, the amount of souls he's consumed empowers him. But each soul is different level of power, I suppose. So, as David Jones put it in Pirates of the Caribbean, one soul is not equal to another. So yeah, I suppose there's that as well. But generally speaking, he is he is limited if someone isn't afraid of him. There's only so much he can do. But still, he's still a dangerous individual, and even in the real world, he's still a guy with a bladed knife and slight reality warping capabilities. So, still don't want to mess with him, though he can still be killed, and quite frankly, pretty easily in the real world. Granted, with the Freddy vs. Jason movie, which isn't canon, we saw he can take a lot of freaking abuse, being both stabbed, having his arm cut off, being run through with his own hand. Survived decapitation, although that was implied to be a dream, whatever that was. So, yeah, he's pretty tough. The Creeper. Now, the backstory of the Creeper has been alluded to, and piece by piece, it kind of brought to explain. It's never truly explained what the Creeper actually is. But it's implied, more or less, it's some sort of demonic entity. Now, the Creeper has been around for God knows how many years, probably hundreds of years. And I believe it's every 23 years for 23 days it feeds, and it eats people. Now, specifically speaking, yeah, it eats people, but it also goes for certain body parts because as time goes on, its body kind of starts to decay, I think. As we saw in the original, it had cloudy, milky, blind eyes. And one of the things it wanted from Justin Long was his good eyes. And it replaces its body parts that it wants to with body parts that it particularly likes. So if he needs new eyes, he'll eat eyes that he wants and likes. And basically, they regenerate and he grows those eyes, basically. Being centuries old, he's probably got lots of experience. We know he has weaponry like axes, throwing stars made from bone that are magically etched. So they are capable of homing in on things. His entire van or truck is nothing but a death trap. So you don't want to go near that thing. He has wings that are folded up and tucked in. Now, the Creeper, that being said, it's not, as you can see in the image here, it's not this body. You can see these tendril-like things on his head. It's actually kind of like a frill that pops up. Apparently, he lost his head at one point, and he just took a new head and grew it back and stuck it on and turned into the Creeper again, which implies that the Creeper isn't the actual body or even the head. What's implied is the creeper is this like weird, almost like xenomorph looking fin thing on the back. It's like some sort of parasitic demon is what it is. And because of that, the creeper can't, the creeper can be injured, but the level of injuries it's capable of sustaining without too much damage is inconsistent throughout the movies. In the first movie, he got ran over by a car multiple times, was limping his ass into a police station just so he could get to the cellmates. And yet in I think it's the third movie, he gets shot with a freaking Gatling gun just flying in there, and it doesn't even freaking phase him. So the consistency or inconsistency in which he can take damage is really annoying. But that said, though, he can still take. It's clearly possible to kill him. It's just the method of doing so is unknown at this time. But at one point, he lost a limb, and someone touched it, and apparently he gained some memories of the creeper and what the creeper is and what it can do. Damn it! Okay. And when the creeper finally came back to it, it crumbled to dust, and it was stuck with a knife in a wall or a post or something, a tree maybe. And it says I know what you are, and he was pissed off by that. So there's clearly a method to kill the creeper, but it's not been shown in the movies yet. The best way to do it is just outlast him. Outlast him for 23 days, and then he'll go to sleep for 23 years. So there you go. The beauty of that is, if you run into him in the last couple days, you just got a couple days and you're golden. Sorry, again, listening in case someone's pulling up. So there you go. So the question is, who wins in this fight? Well, again, it's kind of like with the Pennywise versus Freddy fight. Does it take place in the real world, or does it take place in the dream world? If it takes place in the real world, Freddy's fucked. Whatever a bit of reality warping Freddy has, which usually stems from fire manipulation because he was killed by fire, so makes sense that'd probably be something he has on his call. Fire manipulation, maybe he can make a tree branch appear and stab the creeper. Doesn't really matter. The creeper could survive anything Freddy could dish out in the real world. Freddy could slice him, and just whatever, and he probably wouldn't want any body part of Freddy. He would just massacre Freddy. So, because Freddy, when you break it down, is no stronger than a guy of his build. So, yeah, and the creeper is far stronger than your average man. So, out in the real world, doesn't mean a thing. Freddy gets hammered and killed each time. But, like I said, it's the same concept as with the Pennywise fight, because he goes into hibernation, a.k.a. he sleeps. So, if this fight were to take place in the dream world, assuming the creeper somehow hears a Freddy Krueger, which is entirely possible. People talk. And he hears things. If he were to wind up in the dream world, and it's Freddy versus the creeper, and Freddy's upset because you're taking my children. I don't like that, bitch. So I'm going to have to put you down for good. Now, the creeper would not be prepared for what Freddy would dish out, but Freddy's also probably not prepared for the creeper's level of regeneration, even in the dream world. Your physical traits still carry over to the dream world. So, because it's still you. So, he would still have a mass amount of regeneration. So Freddy's kind of like with Jason's, he's why won't you die? But at the same time, the creeper has nothing that can put Freddy down in the dream world. He's probably very strong. He's not afraid of Freddy per se. But that doesn't mean a huge... it doesn't give Freddy as much power over the creeper. But the fact of the matter is, he could just dismember the creeper. And even though he'd still be alive, he could say, you could still move after that. You are a fucked up individual, buddy. Kind of reminds me of me at that age. And he sees the arms trying to get back to each other. He's oh, no, you don't. And just crucifies him on a wall in the dream world. And then just starts melting him down in acid or something he creates. I don't know. Point being, in the dream world, Freddy would probably bitch slap the creeper around, quite frankly. But in the real world, it's quite opposite. The creeper would bitch slap Freddy around. So ultimately, what's the win here? I guess the question is there a way the creeper could win against Freddy in the dream world? Hypothetically, yes. He could just overwhelm him eventually, but no one's really ever beaten Freddy in the dream world. Think about that for a second. With the exception of, I think, was it the fourth one or the fifth one? Dream Master or Dream Child? No, it was Dream Master. Dream Master, I think someone did his niece or something. It was a relative, I believe. Did beat him in the dream world, but there were mitigating factors behind that, so I can't really count that. Otherwise, you've always either had to pull Freddy out of the dream world, or you've had to you've had to do other means to kill him. Like in the Dream Warriors, they had to also put holy water on his skeleton or his skeleton. I can't remember how they. I know the kid did something in Dream Child. I can't remember what he did. That was the whole idea about the whole Dream Child movie. Freddy's dead. They brought him in the real world, blew him up. Nightmare 1 and 2, they brought him into the real world. Freddy vs. Jason brought him into the real world. New Nightmare, I'll admit, I think he came out into the real world in New Nightmare, but don't quote me on that, because that's not actually Freddy Krueger. That's a demon that takes the form of Freddy Krueger. That's what that one was about. And then the reboot, they brought him into the real world again. Although, again, spoilers, didn't actually work. So, this is weird. This is like a real 50-50 coin toss. So again, the only way to really say whether or not I could push it in the Creeper's favor is if he could somehow eke out a couple percentages of wins in the dream world, which I don't frankly think he could. Because the fight with Jason and Freddy never went on long enough for us to really see if that would happen. And again, they gave him Jason a fear of water in that movie, which, according as far as we can tell, for the rest of the series, isn't canon. So I've had so many people complain at me at that. But look, anytime I do a Jason fight, I'm doing different versions of Jason. That's a version of Jason, and that version of Jason, weirdly enough, had a fear of water, even though he could go into the water and seem to be fine. So don't get on me when I bring that up. Ultimately, I honestly gotta say, who wins? It all depends on the circumstance. Real world, it goes to the Creeper. Dream world, it goes to Freddy. Let me know what you think of the comments below. I'm really curious on this one, because quite frankly, this is one of the few times ever doing this series that I'm at a sliced right down the middle. So if you can think of a way one or the other could get the advantage percent-wise either way, let me know in the comments below. But right now, it's just depending on the circumstance. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll review it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, whatever, anything to do with the channel. Put that in the comments below as well, because at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time, folks. Later.